Hello, hello. Hey. Ooh, ooh, ooh. God, that lives rent free in my brain. Check, check, check. All right, hello there, my friends. I got a new microphone set up, so I had to tweak some audio stuff when I started my stream, thus the 3 minutes of dicking around over here. Just give me a moment, I'll get started. All right, how's everybody doing today? Got the slightest delay going on. I'm like, do I want to use the line tool or do I want to make these look like hand hammered, you know? Oh, lag, how we combat again. My stylus is too fat. Don't talk to me about vectors, liminal mushroom. You know how I feel. Better than most, in fact. God damn it, fat stylus. This lag right now. I'm dying. Jesus Christ. Let me try rebooting this program. Because this is bad. You know, if this doesn't work out, There's this silly game I wanted to play. Maybe I'll do that. Give me just a moment for the screen flash. I'm just gonna try disconnecting and reconnecting my tablet program because the lag is just not cooperating with me today. All right, all right. Are you gonna be better now? Are you gonna stop breaking up on my line art, please? Because that would be very nice, program. Please work with me. I'm being very polite. I think you can handle working with me here. Seems to be working a little better. A little better. I'll work with it. I can work with it. Jeez, but look what it did. I might have to just restart this. All this lag caused all these breaks. Alright, let's try it again. And if my program doesn't decide to get its shit together, we'll figure that out. Also, I hope my new microphone is sounding good to y'all. Like when I was testing it, I didn't have music on, and I felt like I could hear myself like breathing. I was like, "Oh Jesus Christ!" I hope the music helps. Yeah, I definitely can't do line art with it lagging like this. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. In the meantime, let me flash some of the ones I've already gotten done. So let me disappear the ref sheet real quick. I'll hand sketch by myself. We've got 10 of Cups, number 1. I have 2 based on 10 of Cups, so this is 10 of Cups number 1. That's based on 5 of Wands, but I replaced the staves with pitchforks and torches because it's funny, and that's going to be my raid alert. I'm going to try closing my tablet program again. It's going to blink. Let's give it a second. Let's give it a gentle pat on the head and let it have a moment. After that, we have the Fool, and I feel like I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of this fellow. I also the original tarot dog was so weird looking that I didn't want to make it perfect. I wanted to keep it kind of weird looking, and I feel like I nailed that like weird, ugly, cute thing it's got going on. There's the Magician. I'm gonna blend out this bottom part. I was just saving that for when I shade and everything, get the right colors. Got the Empress. This is the second Ten of Cups design. So that's gonna be my hype train one, I think is what I had that written down as. I think this one's my favorite. This is Judgment. I just think she came out fabulous. My cheers. anatomical heart, which as of right now is purple to go with my color palette. But separately from that, I'm gonna bring in the reds with the shading and stuff, and I want it to look like gory. And if you haven't looked at gore or viscera, it actually has much more of a bluish, purplish tone than you might expect. Ten of Swords, of course. This one's gonna be for when I have errors and when I need something to pop up to be like, give me a second. A little poison bottle, because why not? It's cute. I like it. That'll be my, like, lewd react. I might end up going over the veins with, like, a thicker line art in color when I do the shading. I haven't decided exactly how I want to do it yet, but I don't prefer them the way they are, so I think I'm going to do that. And then I was trying to work on the coins, but that's really fighting me. Let me pull up the source picture and just show you guys. There we go. So this is my my sketch sheet where I did everything in pencil. I'm a traditional artist first, I'm a digital artist second. I'm not super confident in my digital art capabilities, and separately from that, I only recently started using Krita instead of Adobe programs because, you know, screw Adobe. And so I'm still learning the ropes with Krita. But we have the original sketch of the Empress, the Fool, the Magician, the Ten of Cups design, the Ten of Swords design, the other Ten of Cups design, Judgment, my little lewd guy, my cheers glass, the anatomical heart, the tip coins that I'm trying to recreate, the poison jar, the crystal. That one might be like a little like, you're a gem, thanks for the shout out, thanks for the follow. I don't know, whatever. I'm gonna use that one for like, hey, thanks guys, I appreciate you. I might not do this potion bottle. I'm not really in love with it. I feel like it reminds me of like a baby bottle pop for some reason. I still have to do my man Frankie. And I'm probably going to redraw the ink pot as well to match the black line art style that I went with for this. Unlike the one I have down here, which has the colorful line art. The, you know, deep yellow for the gold and the like mint greenish color for the glass. Let's give my program one more shot. And if it's still not working, I'm gonna launch Steam. Yeah, see my problem? See my problem? I've got to figure out how to hardwire this thing in. I'm using a program that allows me to use my cell phone as my drawing tablet, and that's awesome. That's awesome because that saves me like $500. Because I actually I have a bamboo Wacom, but it's one of the ones with the plain plastic screen, and I'm really not good at looking at the art in one place and drawing it in another. I need it under my stylus, under my pencil, under whatever I'm using, right? I'm not one of those people that can draw without, like, without having it under my media, my whatever I'm using. And so I'm using this program called Super Display to use my phone, and I have it connected to my device over Wi-Fi, and I know there's a way to hardwire it in. It just doesn't want to do it for some reason. My computer's fine. Everything's updated. It's like, oh no, we can't detect that. And I'm like, okay, I guess. Let me save that, even though I didn't get shit done. And I'll leave y'all with judgment for a moment while I boot Steam, figure out what the fuck I'm doing. You know, I've been thinking for a while that I wanted to play this dating sim demo um, on stream, because it's still only a demo. It's not a full game yet, and the company that made it made a few of my favorite dating sims. Really well written stories that I personally find very intriguing, and you know, there's not a big following for this one yet since it's still a demo. But it deserves a bigger following, and those of us who do like it already really, really like it, you know? and and yeah, I think I want to play that instead since my stuff is lagging out on me so hard. As of right now, the fandom's pretty tight. It's pretty small. It's kind of a cult following at the moment. Again, the game is only in demo. It's not supposed to be released for a while. Like, probably 2 years. I don't know. See you in 2026 when this game comes out. But in the meantime, I thought if I did some fan art of the characters and stuff, since there's not a lot of fans of it, there's not going to be a lot of artists making art of the characters. I thought it would be fun. So maybe I'll go through and talk about what I like about their character designs. Let me switch over to my gaming screen. This is a layout meant for Baldur's Gate, but it'll work. I have it set not to pick up game audio because it's using copyrighted music. Let me change the setting in game for that so you can at least get the sound effects. Yeah, I think that should work. Yep, okay. Just wanted to make sure it was getting the audio. And I was like, if I do this fast enough, I won't get copyright hit. I don't know if the menu music's copyright, but still. Let me just edit my stream info. Alright, looks like that should be updated now. Please show my updated title so I know you're good. Okay, it did update. I'm just being paranoid. Alright, well this is TOUCHSTARVED. We got injury and dismemberment, baby. Yes, I will click to proceed, thank you. This is what I get for using caps lock as my push to talk button. Because I'm a fool. Okay, I'm gonna need help deciding what background for my character this time. There's going to be voice acting for this when it's out of the demo version, but maybe in the meantime I should read it. You're not even sure if you're human. You were born cursed, with hands that alter the minds of anyone you touch. Choose your backstory. So fam, we've got 3 options here. Last time, I chose the Alchemist. I've played this once, just off stream, personally, in my own life. 1830s French butcher. France doesn't even exist in this! France! So I could be the Unnamed, which is, you were raised as an oracle in a remote temple. The priests claimed your touch bestowed enlightenment, but a visiting mage revealed your curse for what it is. Following the mage's word, you fled in search of the Cenobium, which is, it's kind of like Candlekeep if you know D&D lore. It's a giant frickin' library. The Cenobium is a giant library. You regularly experience unnatural premonitions that rattle your body and soul. An innate sixth sense gives you a heightened awareness of hidden supernatural presences around you. Then we have the Hound, a forsaken thief. You were raised by society's outcasts, criminals who accepted you when nobody else would. Your partner in crime, a friend since childhood, helped you steal enough money for a cure, then betrayed you. They left you with only enough coin to travel to the Cenobium, your last hope. You have sharply honed social intuition. You can survive and even thrive in the violent underbelly of any city, using your experience with the underworld to get ahead. And then the last option, which is the one I've played before, if you aren't surprised, is the Alchemist. I know. A mage-themed channel playing the mage-themed character. What a surprise. The Alchemist, an abandoned mage. An exiled Cenobium mage took you in as a child, raising you as her apprentice. She seemed to take pity on your curse, but you discovered that she was cultivating you as a test subject. You fled to the Cenobium, seeking cure. You are an experienced spellcaster with encyclopedic knowledge of alchemy, spellcraft, and history. With a little observation, you can identify the subtle effects of magic. I had a feeling you would like Hound, Liminal Mushroom. And, yeah, I was thinking that too for this time, because that was my second choice last time. So why not do it this time, right? Let's do it. Let's be the Hound. We're a forsaken thief, and I want to try to keep that in mind when we're making in-character decisions. Your name is Jet. You've selected they-them pronouns. Your backstory is the Hound. Is this correct? Yes. If you guys get the chance to, like, actually play this game, you definitely should. There's great music in it. I just cannot play it. Let me roll back so I can remember to read that out loud. The wasteland stretches as far as the eye can see. There's nothing out here but death, the ever-present stench of decay, and countless sun-bleached bones cast like seeds across the barren land. Jeez, I'm being a fool with the buttons right now. I need to stick with the actual buttons and not the scroll wheel. I could say death doesn't scare me, but to tell the truth, I'm desperate. It's been 2 weeks since I joined a caravan bound across the wastes. Finding a group that would accept me was a trial in itself. As the rations grew sparse and my canteen ran dry, I began to despair, but then I saw it. Iridia, the city of knowledge, one of the last bastions of humanity left in the world, and home to the famous academy called the Cenobium. All of the world's knowledge gathered in one place. If there's anywhere I'll find a cure for my curse, it's there. All that stands between me and a cure is the final stretch of salt-soaked wastes, or so I think, until I see the first tendrils of fog snaking beneath the wagon. Is this fogfall? My stomach sinks at the very whisper of it. A silent storm more devastating than fire, dangerous in cities, but a death sentence beyond them. A thick blanket of fog engulfs us, smothering out the lantern's light. The wagon lurches to a stop. An eerie silence heavy as the mist falls over us. The only warning we get is a strangled scream. Stay back! No! The cry dissolves into a wet gurgling. Then, the wagon pitches violently to the side. I hit the ground hard, the air punched from my lungs. When I open my eyes, adrenaline lends sudden, awful clarity to the carnage around me. A trader I once shared bread with lies face down in the mud, their back reduced to long strings of torn muscle, gleaming gristle, and exposed bone. Bodies litter the wasteland. I try to rise, but my ankle explodes with pain so blinding, white blooms across my vision. Only when my eyes adjust do I see the dark shape in front of me. A soulless stoops over the twisted form of a caravaner. I blink, I freeze, but it swivels its head. A dozen bulging eyes twitch in my direction and blink as one. I think I need to turn that down a little bit. Yeah, let me turn that down a little bit, sorry. Okay, hopefully that'll be better. The soulless lets out an ear-splitting shriek and runs at me. Yeah, it was pretty ear-splitting, that's appropriate. But right before it reaches me, the beast barrels past, vanishing into the mist. Distantly, a horse screams in the dark. I need to move now. Run for the city. I take off running, deeper into the haze. The fog is so thick that I fear I'm headed in the wrong direction until I see a dim pinprick of light emanating from the shadow of a spire. It's faint, but it's enough. I came too far to die here. Rapid footsteps echo all around me. I turn in circles, frantically searching the opaque mist for the source, but the fogfall twists and stretches sound. Suddenly, the caravan's driver bursts forth from the fog. Our eyes meet too late. He slams into me, knocking me into the ground, and slips in a patch of mud. The soulless falls on him as soon as he slows. It catches the driver by his throat and rakes his stomach with razor-sharp claws. He comes apart like wet paper, spilling intestines and viscera in a steaming tide. Fighting the urge to heave, I claw frantically through the slippery muck for a handhold. Shit. My hand catches on the jagged edge of a rib jutting from the water. My bandages unfurl around the gouge, torn deep into my palm. The pain's quickly forgotten when a hand closes around my wrist. Can you stand? One of the travelers from the caravan leans over me. We need to run. They reach for my hand, and I realize too late that my bandages have come undone. No, don't touch me. The sensation of their thumb brushing the back of my hand sends a shiver down my spine. All it takes is one touch, and in the space of a breath, my curse takes hold. Their lips peel back into a deranged grin. No, I've seen this face countless times before. This is my curse, the madness of my own making. Their grip on my hand tightens until pain radiates from my knuckles. Let me go! Suddenly, clammy hands crush my throat, choking off my breath. Die. Spit bubbles at the corners of their mouth and flecks my face. The edges of my vision darken as my lungs scream for air. Let's fight. Let's fight. My nails gouge deep into the traveler's wrist, but no matter how much blood I draw, they don't flinch. Well, that's bad. The more I struggle, the tighter their grip grows. My pulse hammers in my ears, slowly with each thudding beat. Slowing. This can't be happening. I'm going to die, and not because of the fog fall or the soulless, but because of my own curse. Tears sting my eyes. No, 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 not here. Not like this. The hands drop from my neck, leaving me wheezing for air. My lungs burn with each ragged cough. My vision clears, and the traveler's face takes shape, hovering inches from mine, lips still split into that macabre smile, even as blood seeps between their teeth. They give me one last shuddering breath, then slump over, the claws hooked through their stomach. The Solus shoves the body aside, and the glowing eyes studying its leathery skin thin as though grinning. There's a flash of claws. Red spills across my vision. I thought there'd be pain, but as I sink into the murky water, all I can feel is the grit of silt filling my mouth and the icy embrace of shallow water. Distantly, I notice an arm resting among the outcrop of reeds, mine, neatly severed at the elbow. It should have taken both arms. Without them, maybe I could have survived. Maybe I could have had a home. Instead, I'll die cold, alone, and face down in a desolate wasteland. A fitting end for a monstrosity like me. Oh, that's blinding. If this is death, it's not as bad as I feared. The cold is gone, as is the choking stench of bog water. I could drift forever, cocooned in oblivion, until all thought and sensation vanished. No curse, nobody howling at me in madness and terror, nothing at all. The thought has a terrible appeal to it. But the next moment, I take a reflexive breath. Air pours into my lungs, then out again in a ragged gasp. Feeling comes flooding back, warm cloth on my bare skin, a firm surface underneath me, a strange tang of sulfur in the air. Do not be afraid. I twist my head toward the voice. Tears flood my bleary vision at the bright glow of lamplight. Try not to move. The voice is calm, steady, and commanding, but more importantly, it's a stranger's voice. One thought cuts through my mental fog. I have no idea who this is, and I'm completely at their mercy. Stay away from me. My words come out in little more than a creaky whisper. I clamp my mouth shut, hating how weak and helpless I sound. No. No. Who the hell is this? I'm going to attempt to sit up. Let's be defiant today. That's my specialty. I manage to push myself up on one elbow, but my head swims, and my surroundings give an alarming lurch. Ah, a stubborn patient. I don't have the strength to dignify that with a response. Instead, I pull the sheet up higher and wipe my eyes until my vision clears. The stranger towers over my prone form. Warm light reflects off his pristine medical coat. I instinctively shrink back, and that's when I notice that I'm completely naked, except for a thin linen sheet. Naked, lying on a low cot, with a pair of sharp golden eyes watching my every move, the man's gaze flickers to my exposed, unbandaged hands. I plunge my hands under the sheet to hide them from sight, though it's too late. He must have noticed what they look like. Strange, cursed, inhuman. I brace myself for his inevitable suspicion and disgust, but his expression doesn't even flicker from that courteous smile. He just watches in placid silence as I struggle to make sense of my surroundings. Where am I? Who are you? Be calm. You are safe here. Whoever this is, he clearly has no idea who, or what, I am. I've never been safe anywhere, with anyone. The only people I ever trusted betrayed me for a fat purse of coin. I scowl, pulling the sheet protectively around myself. Where are my clothes? The man's golden eyes narrow slightly. A sharp sigh rustles the paper in his hands. I see you are not to be dissuaded. Your clothes were torn to shreds when I found you, but I procured replacements. With a soft creak, he stands from the chair, giving me a better view of my surroundings. I seem to be in some sort of medical clinic. Bottles of silvery alchemical concoctions line the counters in neat rows. The air makes my nose twitch, a faint whiff of smoke, and something distinctly metallic that I can't quite place. Look at him, he's so pretty. What a twunk. We're twunkin'. It's the twunk doctor. The doctor produces a large, dense bundle of cloth, which he sets at the foot of my cot. He's easily a head taller than most, and I have to crane my neck to look at him. We twunkin' it up indeed. I'm gonna thank him. I mean, my arm was cut off, and now I have arms again, so that's pretty cool. I should be polite if I can, especially since I don't know who this is, what he can do, or what he wants with me. Thank you. Look at his hair. He's so pretty. So if anybody watching this has ever played the mobile otome, the Arcana, this does have some of the same writers and the same content creators, and this guy, big Nadia vibes. He does have an animullet. Okay, but I feel like the animullet is the only acceptable mullet, in my opinion. It looks better in art than it does in real life, particularly in the anime style. I'm just saying. It's also weirdly popular in dating sims. There's a lot of animullets and rat tails. And sometimes a weird combo. You are welcome. I will leave you to get dressed. Anyway, I love this guy's design. Awesome hair. I love his, like, warm skin and how it's shaded and everything. It's just, it looks like it's realistic within the style's means. And the, like, narrow hooded golden eyes, ugh, gorgeous. With a curt nod, he leaves through a narrow door. I hear a soft click as the lock turns behind him. I count to 3 in the sudden silence. When I don't hear any more footsteps, I reach for the bundle of clothes. An itch on my elbow stops me short. I reach down absently to rub at it, then freeze when my fingers meet a neat line of stitches. I know what I saw. That beast took my arm clean off. And yet, my arm shows no signs of injury apart from the black stitches poking through my skin. I gingerly flex my fingers, feeling my heart race at the sensation. This is impossible. I should be dead, or at the very least, gasping out my last breaths. I squeeze my eyes shut, waiting for this pleasant dream to unravel, to wake up bleeding out in the swamp. But nothing happens. The seconds tick by, and my arm remains resolutely healed, my surroundings pristine and quiet. In numb disbelief, I reach for the replacement clothes and begin stiffly pulling them on. They're thicker and warmer than mine were, with a black woolen cloak to go with them, but there's one thing that's still missing: my bandages. The golden-eyed man didn't leave me with any, even though I know he saw my hands. I slide out of bed and take a few unsteady steps toward one of the drawers. If this is indeed a doctor's clinic, there should be bandages somewhere. I start opening drawers at random, and of course, that's when the door swings open once more. Are you looking for something? I whirl around, clutching a thick roll of clean bandages. I try to step back from him, but my legs bump up against the edge of the cot. Your caution is understandable, though if I meant you any harm, you would know. Also, like, is this a halter top? I can't tell. I can't tell, but I like it. Like, the way they do outfits has always been just so interesting to me. Their artists are fabulous. That doesn't make me feel better in the slightest, but he makes no move toward me, so I quickly wind the bandages around my hands. The glowing scars and mottled skin disappear under a layer of clean white cotton. May I ask why you need additional bandages? I clench my jaw. I knew it would only be a matter of time before he asked about my hands, though the way he does is strangely roundabout. I could say nothing, decline to answer, or glare at him. I think I'm just gonna be like tsundere about it and just not talk. I guess it would be more tsundere to glare, but I mean, I am a bit of a shady character, but he did sew my arm back on. I'm gonna say nothing. Give him a little chick. There's no answer I could give without raising unwelcome suspicion, so I just shake my head and finish tying the bandages in silence. I can only help if you tell me what ails you. An involuntary snort of laughter escapes me. Where would I even begin? Would he even believe me if I told him? No, best to keep my curse to myself for now, and learn more about him first. Who are you? So I think it's pronounced Curious. You may call me Curious. And where exactly am I? Iridia, which I assume was your caravan's destination. I can think of nowhere else for a group of travelers to go. Iridia, so I made it to the City of Knowledge after all. I should feel relieved, but all I can manage is a vague sense of increasing unease. How did I end up here? I brought you to my clinic, of course. You were the only survivor from the caravan, barely clinging to life. You needed immediate treatment. Which you provided? Yes. He says it so simply, as if I'm a small child, and he's explaining basic addition to me. I frown and flex the fingers on my recently healed arm. Aside from being a bit stiff, it feels fine, thoroughly attached to me. You're saying that you stitched my arm back on. Pardon? A Solus attacked the caravan. It ripped everyone to shreds. It tore my arm clean off. But when I woke up here, I trailed off, bewildered. I'd never heard of any magic that could heal a mortal wound like that. What kind of person could do such a thing? The doctor, Curas, pinches the bridge of his nose. He sits back down in his chair, quiet for a long time. I do not know where you come from, but Iridia is the city of knowledge and deadly secrets alike. Information is power, and it is most unwise to give or receive it freely. Since you have refused to divulge your secrets, I will not divulge mine. I do not even know your name. I was just... You are new to Iridia, so I will overlook this specific breach of etiquette. However, you should not expect others to extend the same courtesy. Do you understand? He looks pointedly at my freshly bandaged hands. Loath though I am to admit it, he has a point. I'm also a complete stranger to him, and if he's telling the truth, he saved my life. I take a deep, steadying breath. This time, when I speak, I sound a bit more like myself. Jet. My name is Jet. It is a pleasure to meet you, Jet. There's a little more warmth in his smile, his polite demeanor back in an instant. Thank you for saving my life. I chance a smile in return. Even if he won't explain how he did the impossible, there's no doubt in my mind that I'd be dead if not for Curious. Think nothing of it. I'm not sure if he's just being excessively courteous, but his words only raise more urgent questions. But I have to ask, why did you save me? You don't know me. The question seems to startle Curious. I could hardly leave you to die in the wastes. Assisting those in need is the very essence of a doctor's duty. I've never met a doctor who also handed out free clothes. My fingers find the edge of the cloak. There's a subtle but delicately embroidered pattern around the hem. I try not to think about what kind of price Curious might ask for such well-made clothes. No, I suppose not. Forgive my presumption. I rarely come across so fascinating a patient. I blink. What did he just say? I simply meant that a few would cling to life so resolutely, or brave such a perilous journey to Iridia. I could not help being curious about you, Jet. His voice dips into a soft murmur, and then he abruptly looks away from me. Do I hit on the pretty doctor? Or do I hit on some other twunk? I think we go for it. I think we say why not. This man can reattach arms. That's a valuable skill to have. You're pretty curious yourself. Am I? Well, I haven't forgotten about my arm. I wiggle my intact fingers at him. That's so lame. Clearly not. Oh, I accidentally hit tab. Wait. Jesus. Jesus, note to self, do not accidentally hit tab. Fuck. Clearly not. But you haven't asked me for any payment either. I require none from you. Travelers do not have an abundance of coin, and it would be unethical to leave you destitute in a strange place. I fall silent, unsure of what to say to that. Nobody would help a horror like me for free. There has to be some kind of catch or trick, right? A loud knock at the front door stops our conversation cold and spares me from having to say anything else. I love when that happens. Duty calls. Unfortunately, you are not my only patient today. The knocking grows more insistent, and Curious lets out a tired sigh. Please wait your turn. Though he says it quietly, the clamor on the other side of the door abruptly stops. Do you need anything before you leave, Jet? Oh. Between the Solus attack and my miraculous survival, I'd almost forgotten why I came to Iridia in the first place. I need directions to the Cenobium. The Cenobium? The look on his face is downright chilling. He pauses, choosing his words with cold deliberation when he speaks again. Whatever you seek, it's very unlikely you'll find it there. The cenobium's gates open for precious few visitors. Even if they did, you would not like what you found inside. My heart sinks. Is he saying that I came all this way for nothing? Risked my life and limb for nothing? No, that can't be. I've only just arrived, and Iridia is the largest city still standing. There has to be a cure for me here. Then if not the cenobium, where would you suggest? Do you know anyone else in Iridia? I shake my head. Then I suggest a local guide. Head to the Wet Wick and ask for Leander. Excuse me? The Wet what? The Wet Wick. He sounds deeply unamused. Follow the postings advertising Leander's bloodhounds. They're difficult to miss. When you meet Leander, tell him I sent you. That isn't much to go on, but Curious points toward the clinic's back door. You will be safe so long as you do not draw attention to yourself. That's easier said than done. I've always been a magnet for the worst sort of attention. If you require my assistance, you may return whenever you wish. Though he's smiling, there's a note of finality in his voice. Resigned to my dismissal, I slip out the back door. I find myself standing in a narrow and rather gloomy alley. I pull the new cloak up over my nose, stepping over the contents of chamber pots that have been emptied into the street. Something weighs heavily inside one of my cloak's pockets, my coin purse. Everything is still inside, every last coin I'd scraped together for the journey to Iridia. It doesn't even look like it was opened. There are so few coins to begin with, they probably weren't worth stealing. I glance back at the clinic's closed door. Curious didn't take any payment. He didn't even ask for a future favor. But he also said that in Iridia, secrets are power. Does he expect me to give up mine at some point? That's not exactly a comforting thought. Still, no matter why he did it, Curious gave me a second chance and a lead on where I might find help. I'd better get going before he changes his mind. I squeeze out of the alley and into the crowded main street. The line outside Curious's clinic stretches down the road already. Two thin peddlers queue alongside weathered elders. If any place is in desperate need of a free clinic, it's this one. The cobblestones are treacherously rough under my feet, deep grooves worn between them by regular flooding and decades of hard use. I knew Iridia was a river city, but I didn't expect it to look so eroded. The buildings are tired and dilapidated, all crammed together in narrow streets. A child darts by, clutching something greasy wrapped in paper. The smell of fried food drifts over to me. My stomach gives a faint gurgle. This morning's catch, fried up, hot and fresh, not too many eyeballs today. That sounds disgusting, but I'm starving, so I duck my head under the stall's grubby awning. A large fish leers up at me, its three bulging eyes still visible through the thick layer of crispy batter. The vendor gives me a gap-toothed grin. What's the cheapest thing you've got? The vendor points at a metal basket of what looks like long strips of savory fried dough. Fresh long, lads, 3 copper apiece. Don't burn your mouth. I take the coins out, counting them gingerly. At this rate, I might not even be able to afford dinner. Reluctantly, I drop the payment on the counter and take my meal. Two streets later, I pass under a wrought iron archway, adorned with dangling garlands of red and pink lilies. The buildings in this quarter are a dizzying riot of color, painted walls and tinted glass everywhere I look. Sheer red and pink curtains flutter in the open doorways. Musical voices call out invitingly. Incense mingles with the pungent scent of flowers, barely covering the salt and musk of warm bodies. This must be Iridia's entertainment district. I'm polishing off my food and dusting the crumbs from my hands when I spot a poster. It features the silhouette of a smiling man wearing a single dagger-like earring and the word Bloodhounds printed above his head. A motto, as above, so below, circles the artwork. If Leander is the leader of the Bloodhounds, then the face printed on the poster is likely his. I follow the line of identical posters around a corner and nearly hit my head on a precariously dangling wooden sign. Looking up, faded orange letters read, "The Wet Wick." These writers have, like, made a meme out of coming up with the worst tavern names. They do it in every game, and I love it. There's some really nasty ones. The facade of this building looks like it's seen better days, but I hear faint music and laughter coming from inside. The inside of the bar is a far cry from the abandoned exterior. It's not even midday, yet most of the tables and booths are occupied by a loose assembly of people in matching green cloaks. There's a lot you can tell about a city by its dives. This one seems ordinary enough, even if the uniforms are unusual. A cursory glance doesn't turn up anyone with a dagger-shaped earring. I'm about to head toward the counter when a chant rises from the center of the room. Just gonna do that. Show! 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 The remaining green cloaks abandoned the bar and their booths to rush toward the center of the room in a sudden torrent. There's no time to move out of the way. I'm caught, swept along in the ale-stenched current. Hey! Rhythmic chanting drowns out my voice. I thrash, throwing out an elbow as the press of bodies grows heavier. Girl, learn how to mosh. My hip knocks into a table. I grip it, holding on tight to steady myself, but the crowd has stilled. The chanting stopped. A pair of gilded boots stride across the tabletop. Twunk number 2! Seriously, you dogs? Again? Scattered laughter and cheers rise from the audience. I drag my eyes upwards. A well-dressed man stands on the table in front of me, his broad shoulders framed by thick lapels of a trench coat. This really is the last time, all right? This time, when he speaks, the audience falls silent, as though bewitched by his magnetic presence or rich, low voice. But nothing is as captivating as his smile. He beams as the crowd around him. He beams at the crowd around him, a performer on his makeshift stage. Don't blink, or you'll miss it. He laughs, and the dagger-shaped earring dangling from his left ear catches the light in a flash of gold. It would seem I found Leander. He raises his hand above the audience and snaps. A flash of pale green light, real magic, no ordinary stage trick, blinds me. As the brilliance ebbs, my gaze refocuses on the mage towering above me. He flicks his wrist, and the magic spiraling around him coalesces. A delicate flower stem sprouts forth between his pinched fingers. One by one, glowing lily petals spring forth. With a flourish, the mage presents the conjured flowers. The audience bursts into clapping and cheers. A genuine magic show was the last thing I'd expected from a place called the Wet Wick. Leander plucks the iridescent bouquet out of the air and turns it in a slow circle, giving his audience a good look. Now, who could use some good luck? Eager onlookers scoot closer to the table. Some reach for the lilies, while others whistle and call Leander's name. But his cool green eyes slide right over them, locking on me instead. How about you? My chest tightens. Every person turns to stare at me. What's up, fam? Do we give in to peer pressure and take the flowers, or do we say no to this twunk? Motherfucker looks like he's gonna go find a fucking treasure planet. Okay, I will take the flowers, liminal mushroom. But doesn't this guy look like the treasure planet guy, but without the rat tail? And older? I reach out, all too aware of the way my fingers tremble as I carefully take the flowers from him. There's no weight to them, only a faint warmth that radiates from the stems. As soon as the flowers leave Leander's hand, their light dims. They fade away in a shower of opalescent light. To my surprise, Leander laughs under his breath. That's the problem with flowers. They don't last long, but they leave an impression, right? He grins at me, and I find myself smiling back. Alright, now this guy, also like his outfit, again, banging outfits out of these guys. They just know how to make a sharp-ass outfit. Everybody looks fly as shit, okay? Yeah, I mean, I like his design. This haircut's coming back. It's trendy now. The one earring thing is cool. The scar is cool. I like his eyes. He looks tired. And I have, I've got theories about him. I think he's up to something. Leander steps off the table, dropping among the excited crowd with an audible clink. All right, bloodhounds, get back to your drinks. Show's over. The green cloaks disperse at his command, returning to their tables and booths. Before I can make my way towards Leander, his eyes find me. He gives me a friendly wave, then beckons me over to the crowded counter. I manage to squeeze beside him, but there's so little room that his broad shoulders press against mine. I tense, but he doesn't seem to mind at all. Is this your first time in Iridia? He says it lightly, with a genuine air of curiosity. Do I stick out that much? No, but I'm certain I'd remember seeing a face as lovely as yours around Lowtown. My eyes flicker to the polished countertop. I'm not used to flattery, and being this close makes eye contact difficult. As if on cue, the bartender approaches us. What can I get you? Surprise me, and add anything my friend wants to the tab. I wasn't expecting the generosity, but I have to admit, I do feel a little thirsty after all that fried dough. Well, do I want to be surprised, or do I just want water? Do I want to be a loser? I'm in a new city. I think I'll take the drink. I'll have what he's having. While the bartender leaves to fix our drinks, Leander leans on his elbow on the counter. I'm close enough to notice the purple shadows under his lower lids. His eyes wander over me in return, but when they locked on my bandaged hands, a sour taste rises in my throat. Here comes the questions. So, what brings you to the Wick? Kira sent me. He pushes his hair back from his forehead, but it immediately falls right back into place. So, it's about work. The bartender returns with a pair of glasses filled with what I can only assume is beer. I raise my glass and give it an experimental sniff. It smells faintly yeasty, but with an undercurrent I can't quite place. A quick sip confirms my worst suspicions. It's awful, somehow briny and sour in a way that reminds me of pickles. Great, cool. Maybe they just like pickle drinks here. Maybe that's their way. You know how like some people say you should drink pickle juice when you have a hangover? Are they just skipping the middleman here? Because I have a theory that that's what's happening. I have a theory. I have a theory that that's a mix of liquor and pickle juice so that you don't have to do a ridiculous hangover cure. Any thought of complaining dies the moment I look up and see Leander taking a deep swig from his glass. Oh god, we did see pickle moonshine at the liquor store. Oh god, I almost forgot about that, and now I wish I could again. Oh no, I forgot that we saw pickle moonshine at the liquor store. And it wasn't pickle flavored moonshine. It was a jar of moonshine with pickles in it. Like whole pickles. What do you even do with that? What do you do with the moonshine pit? Do you eat that? You can't put that on a sandwich. I don't want my sandwich to taste like moonshine. It's like the worms in tequila. Matt, I ate the eel. We drank the eel, Matt. We drank the eel. God, I love that show. Any thought of complaining dies the moment I look up and see Leander taking a deep swig from his glass. He lets out a satisfied breath. How can I be of assistance? I need to get to the cenobium. As soon as the word cenobium leaves my mouth, the entire bar falls silent. Bloodhounds twist around in their seats to gawk openly. Finally, an especially drunk one speaks up. The hell are you bringing up the cenobium in here? Throw him out! This is bloodhound territory! The vitriol catches me off guard. From the angry looks thrown my way, it's clear I've broken some unspoken rule, just by mentioning the cenobium. When I glance at Leander, he's drinking, as though he hasn't noticed the uproar. Only when he catches me looking does he lower his glass. For the love of... He drags a hand down his face. Hey, keep it down, will you? This is business. I tense, expecting an argument, but the outspoken bloodhounds silently return to their drinks. Only a handful continue to watch me warily. Sorry about them. The cenobium's a bit of a touchy subject in these parts. Mix in enough drinks, and well, you saw. How about we continue this outside? When I give him a terse nod, he pushes away from the bar counter. I follow Leander to an alleyway tucked behind the wet wick, where layers of frayed bloodhounds posters have been plastered to the walls. Seeing them side by side, the resemblance between Leander and his likeness on the posters is impressive. Kuras didn't send you for help with the cenobium, did he? From the look he gives me, he already knows the answer. I glance away. No, he didn't. He suggested I find an alternative. Yet, here you are, asking about them anyway. What do you need the cenobium for? I don't want to tell him about my curse. The less people know about my capabilities, the better. Thankfully, Leander takes my reluctant silence as an answer. Well, I see you're already aware of this city's currency. Information's worth its weight in gold here. Kyrus told you the truth. The Cenobium's dangerous. Get on their bad side and they'll imprison you if you're lucky, or torture you if you're not. But the Cenobium's supposed to be a place of learning, a sanctuary. The Cenobium has always been heralded as the last bastion of human knowledge, a shining beacon of hope in a world steeped in nightmares. If any place held answers, it would be the Cenobium. That's why I came here. That's what they want you to think, but things that seem too good to be true are often just that. Such a simple statement, and yet it leaves me reeling. If that's true, if I staked everything on a lie, then what now? Leander clears his throat. But as I always say, there's solutions to every problem, and alternatives to every solution. He claps his hands and turns to me with a brilliant smile. That's why Kyrus pointed you to the Bloodhounds. Let us help you. Whether it's hunting Solus, finding people, or recovering stolen valuables, we can do it all, and free of charge. I'm shaking my head before he's even finished his practice speech. My patience is wearing dangerously thin. Listen, I appreciate the offer, but my problem can't be solved by a group of good Samaritans. To my chagrin, Leander nods slowly. Then your problem must be fairly serious, and if the Cenobium's your first choice, you're searching for a magical solution, aren't you? When my eyes widen, he nods along, as though he suspected all along. I'd be happy to help you out. That is, if you tell me what ails you. Leander might not work for the Cenobium, but he is a mage, and a powerful one at that if his demonstration earlier is any indication. I'm silent, plagued by indecision. I don't know if I can trust him, but it's not like I have any alternatives. I hate to admit it, but this could be my only path forward. My confession comes out in a pained whisper. I'm cursed. Cursed? Oh, now I'm very curious. What kind of curse? Something ancestral or more recent? He looks me up and down, taking in my face, my eyes, and finally, my hands. It's your hands, isn't it? I wait until I'm certain my voice will remain steady before answering. My touch is dangerous. It changes people, hurts them. Before I've even finished, Leander begins taking his glove off. He tugs his left hand free and flexes his fingers. Let's see it. He offers me his hand. A prismatic flash of magic ripples across his palm, but I'm already shrinking backwards. I can't. I don't care how confident Leander is. I can't bring myself to hurt him, to see his kind face twisted into a mask of madness. Believe me, this isn't an ordinary curse. I'll be fine. Perhaps where you came from, your affliction was strange and one of a kind. But spend a year in this city, you'll see 1,000 curses and thrice as many cures. Do you really think Kyrus would send you here if I couldn't handle it? How should I know? I only met him today. I'm as good as any mage in the Cenobium. Better, even. If they can help, so can I. You don't know what you're asking me. I'm asking you to trust me. I look from Leander's outstretched hand to see his confident smile. Then, with a short breath, I begin unwinding the bandages from my hand. Fine, but if you lose control, don't say I didn't warn you. You can tie me up first if it makes you feel better. With each joint I exposed, I grew more and more certain that this was a terrible idea. Ready when you are. If he's bothered by the way my hand looks, he doesn't show it. My fingers hover shakily over his palm. 3, 2, 1. Touch him or hold back. Do I poke the twunk with my fingies? Twonk him. Just boop him on the snoot a little bit. I tap his palm once, and as quickly as possible. It's barely more than a brush, but that's all it ever takes. When I look at his face, expecting to see the worst, Leander always grins. See? It can't be. This time, when I reach out to touch Leander's palm, again, he catches my wrist before I can pull away. I told you, there's really nothing to worry about. He trails off when my thumb brushes the soft skin of his inner wrist. I search Leander's face for a trace of madness, but his eyes remain a clear, soft green. Color rises in his cheeks, but he remains still except for the subtle bobbing of his throat. Neither of us speak as I trace the contours of Leander's palm, lost in an awareness I wasn't prepared for. I've been with other people, kissed them, been embraced by them, and more, but not like this. My fingers, long deprived by years of bandaging, pick up every single detail, the grooves of his palm, the smooth shell of his nails, the pulse of his heart. For as long as I've lived, I've never been able to hold someone's hand, not without dire consequences. I never realized what I was missing until this moment. While Leander's pulse is steady, mine is hammering as fear gives way to excitement. I could touch him more, or I could not touch him anymore. Those are the options. I think we're done twunking. So he didn't go crazy. Is it because he's already crazy? Cause I think he's crazy. I think he's fucking nuts. I drew my hand back and take a steadying breath. My head feels as though it's been stuffed with cotton. Habit alone guides me through the motions of rewrapping my hand, although my fingers tremble too much for the bandages to lie flat. I can't believe that worked. May I ask your name? I was gonna say buy a bitch a drink first, but he did, so I can't even complain. I'm Jet. You were right to hide this from me, Jet. That curse of yours, it's unlike anything I've ever dealt with. I can tell you're discreet, but you'd best not go showing that off to anyone else. I didn't plan on it. Are you staying in Lowtown? I pause. Room and board was something I hadn't yet considered. I don't know. Let's get you properly settled then. The Wet Wick is notably quieter. Without their leader, most of the bloodhounds have dispersed, or in a few cases, fallen asleep beside their drinks. Got any rooms left, or did my lot grab them all to sleep it off? The bartender, who I now realize doubles as an innkeeper, slides a key onto the counter. You know I always keep the corner room open for your escapades. Leander's laugh sounds slightly strained. And I always appreciate it, but you're mistaken. This is just for my friend Jet. Sure. Stay as long as you like. You two have fun. Escapades, huh? Leander clears his throat, then holds the key out to me. But I hesitate. My coin purse barely holds enough for a day's worth of meals, let alone a room. How much do I owe you? Nothing. Bloodhound rates. My treat, since you shared your secret. Food, drink, a warm bed, anything you need. Carefully, I take the key from him. It's small, but the weight's heavy in my palm. I never expected to have a warm bed in Iridia, let alone free meals. I planned to steal whatever I needed to get by, no matter how dangerous. Thank you. Go explore, Jet. You'll find many roads in Iridia, each leading to different answers. But if you need a reprieve from what haunts you, come find me. Just be careful. I nod, taking one last look at the gleaming bronze key before tucking it into the pocket of my cloak for safekeeping. Leander gives me one last friendly wave before I depart. The air clings, sodden and heavy. Without the morning crowd, the sunless streets look barren and bleak. Even the peddlers are long gone. Only a pair of crows remain quibbling over stale crusts in a gutter. I feel a ridiculous pang of envy. At least they've got reason to fight. I've never felt so lost. Curious and Leander both made it clear that the cenobium can't be trusted, but I came so far, endured so much. I need to see the cenobium for myself, if only to satisfy my curiosity. I should have asked someone at the bar for directions before leaving. I'm about to turn back when a shadow passes over me. A cloud, I think, until a puff of hot breath tickles the back of my neck. The shadow runs down the street in rivulets, formless dark, spreadless like ink into blotted shapes. Claws stretch, a muzzle splits open to reveal long, jagged teeth. A growl rumbles so low and deep I can feel it. I want to run, to scream, but I feel trapped, as though the slightest movement or a single breath will snap the jaws shut around me. No, I won't let it end like this. If I'm going to die, I want to see what got me first. I steel myself, then turn. The shadow vanishes as quickly as it came. I'm left standing in the middle of the street, alone, except for a figure reclining in the shade of a nearby stoop. This one's for all you cat boys. Technically a fox, but still. A monster. That much was clear from a glance. One that could nearly be mistaken for human were it not for the tufted ears, the tail curled around his ankle. Or the dusk-pink eyes with pupils like sharpened needles when they fall on me. Our eyes meet, and the monster uncrosses his long legs. His hair gleams a shade of red that reminds me of unsettlingly of blood where it curls around his collared throat. Jumpy, aren't you? His tone is so light and carefree that I glance over my shoulder to make sure he's speaking to me. When I look back, the stranger props his chin on his knuckles and regards me with an inscrutable little smile. Didn't you see that shadow just now? It was massive, moved like a beast. Even as I speak, I'm aware of how ridiculous I must sound, but the stranger's smile doesn't falter. The only beasts I've seen in the Wicks drooling are the Wicks drooling regulars, though this did catch my eye. With a flourish of his hand, my in-room key appears dangling from his finger. It turns on its chain, glittering when it catches the light. My hand flies to my cloak's pockets, and sure enough, finds them flat. He crooks his finger, beckoning. I've already taken 2 steps forward before some stifled instinct stops me. Something feels wrong. I'm still on the edge, thrumming with so much adrenaline that the stranger's shadow flicker at the edges of my vision. I always attract the worst kind of attention, but I can't get rattled now. Let's play dumb. How do you even find it? The key, I mean. What can I say? I'm a sucker for shiny things. He smiles, wide enough to reveal pointed canines. I saw you drop it. You really should be more careful. City like this, somebody might take advantage. A bald-faced lie, said without a hint of irony. There's no way I dropped my key, but I can't think of an explanation for how it went from my pocket to his hand. I approached the man, careful to keep an arm's length away. He doesn't look dangerous, but the most deadly ones never do. The stranger's chain softly clinks with the tilt of his head. His ears flick. Keeping your distance. Until I figure out how you managed to rob me? Yeah, I am. You think I stole your dinky little key from all the way over here? He gives an exaggerated sigh. I'm good with my hands, but not that good. Do I really look like a common thief to you? He's got me there. The sheer fabric of his sleeves alone would be too expensive for most street thieves. Hell, his shoes look like they cost more than I spent traveling here. And then there's the shop behind him. No matter the city, parted pink curtains only ever mean one thing. I'm not looking to buy, and I doubt I could afford your services anyway. Luckily for you, I don't charge. The man runs the tip of his tongue over a fang, and for the first time since I stepped into that shadow, I feel something other than dread. My face grows hot. That's not what I meant. I'm flattered, really. Were sex my trade, I might have made an exception for you. How about half off for a handy? Or you could just hand over my key. Ask nicely and I might even let you tug my tail. Just throw it here! So some spindly little street urchin can snatch it and run? He raises my key and tilts his head so he can watch it dangle back and forth. I suppose I could just claim your room for myself. Not that I'd be caught dead slumming in the wick with the rest of those slack-jawed imbeciles. You're obviously not from around here, so tell me, traveler. What misfortune brought you to this wretched place? His voice practically drips with derision. I'm not telling you anything. What could have possibly drawn you to this dreary little pig pen, I wonder? He listlessly watches the arc of my key swinging around his finger. The weather's shit, the food's dreck, and there's entirely too many monsters for a human to feel safe. Unless... Dagger's sharp eyes flick toward me. They gleam with amusement. Unless you're just dying to consort with monsters. By now, my embarrassment has worn away, leaving simmering impatience in its place. If this is a shakedown, it's the most frustrating one I've ever experienced. Do I flirt with the cat boy? Fox boy. Technically. Still a cat boy in my heart. It's the anatomy. I say we go for it. Let's just hit on everyone. How do you know I spent all my money, starved, and nearly died in a swamp just so I could crawl into bed with the first thirsty monster I saw? That earns me a burst of breathy laughter. He gazes at me under his dark lashes. Aren't you funny? Could you be any more obvious? I have been told subtlety's not my strength. So, your place or mine? I'd invite you if I had my key. If only I had my key, then I might be able to invite you up. His languid gaze slides from me to the key in his hand and back. Come, take my hand and we'll go together. The more he flirts, the more convinced I become that this is some kind of trap. No matter how innocent monsters look, they always have a trick up their sleeve. And something tells me that this one's more dangerous than he lets on, even if he has a lovely laugh. I don't know what you want or why you're messing with me. but I'm not coming any closer until I know you aren't going to attack. Or bite. I won't bite hard, unless you beg me. No matter what I say, he finds a way to twist my words into innuendo. Even when I'm silent, he goes on as though we're having a conversation, not a standoff. Do you like dancing? There's a traveling troupe performing in Hightown tonight. Their lutist is utterly exquisite. Truly a performance to die for. There's life in this dreadful place, if you know where to look. You sound like you know the city well. The man's gaze flickers from me to the key dangling from his finger. Naturally, this dump was little more than a miserable little smear when I first arrived. Hightown, Lowtown, I know Iridia like the back of my hand. What about the Cenobium? Do you know where that is? His smile vanishes. Surely you've seen it. That absurdly large tower looming over the rest. It's a little hard to miss. He must mean that spire I noticed when I first caught sight of Iridia. The Cenobium's overrated. Forget about it. I can show you things those stuffy boars in their limp dick tower couldn't even dream of. I've already got plans. Oh? Have you some pressing matter at the Cenobium? Lunch date with librarians? Tea time with the most esteemed abbess? That's my business. What's it matter to you? I square my shoulders, and the amusement bleeds out of him. Your loss? The stranger, finally bored of his tedious game, extends his hand toward me. The key rests on his palm, neatly dividing skin and leather. When he makes no other move, I reach for the key, but as soon as my fingers graze smooth brass, his hand springs shut around my elbow. Hey! He yanks me down and I stagger, my soul slipping on the steps. For a sick moment, I fear my bandages will unravel under his touch, but he's careful not to disturb them even as his fingers dig into my arm. I knew I smelled blood. You reek of death and the road. And that fucking doctor. His voice, once silken, lowers to a smoky growl. The shadows around him seethe and boil as he pulls me closer. And something else. He murmurs against my throat, nose grazing my jaw. Let go. I try to twist away, but he doesn't budge. His breath trails down my neck, sending a thrill of dread through me. But when I fear he'll bite, he takes a deep whiff instead. His wide, flat eyes gleam with naked hunger as he gazes up at me. Not quite human, not quite monster. Seems we're both. Veer! The stranger's ears flatten, and he releases me with a short breath. I yank my arm back, massaging it where his grip left deep grooves in the bandages. The stranger twists around to watch a woman duck out from the curtains behind him. Her pressed uniform bears the insignias of the Cenobium. I leave you for all of what? 10 minutes and you're making trouble again? Will you quit harassing the tourists? The stranger, Veer I take it, rolls his eyes and flashes the cleric a withering smile. So suspicious. Can't you see this is a friend of mine? A natural liar. He grins at me, and his tail swishes minutely. The woman purses her lips at me, clearly unconvinced. I open my mouth to correct him, but Veer cuts in. I was graciously offering my dear friend some free advice. Though his voice remains light and cheerful, his expression darkens. Danger's drawn to you like a moth to flame. It will always find you, given time. The woman clucks her tongue, as though she's heard this recital 102 times. Word of advice, don't take free advice from lazy foxes lounging in the streets. This crook would sell water to a drowning man for the sheer enjoyment of it. She shrugs off a wilting look from Veer. Oh, please. Any friends of yours know it's true. Now hold still. Veer rises gracefully at her approach. He pushes his hair aside so it drapes over one shoulder, exposing the long line of his neck. And suddenly, it dawns on me that the jingling I heard earlier wasn't coming from the harness attached to his collar, but a leash. A heavy iron chain wound around the hitching post and padlocked to the back of his collar. Veer posed deliberately to hide his leash from me. The woman produces a key ring from her pocket. She rifles through a dozen identical keys before selecting one and slotting it into the lock. Come on, unless your friend's tagging along on our merry little soulless hunt. They're hunting for solace inside the city? Words momentarily fail me. The woman regards me with a polite, if tight, smile before marching down the stairs. Veer lingers. He stretches his arms over his head with a yawn, and I try not to stare at the way his stomach flattens when he arches his back. Your little secret's safe with me. Try not to get yourself killed, Veer hops off the stoop and bounds after the woman. His tail sways merrily, as though he hadn't just lied and threatened me. Did you try that thing I mentioned? The Loventian? I don't know how to say that one. Loventian knot? Is that the one where you take 3 fingers and actually... don't tell me. Knowing you, it's disgusting. Veer's airy laughter echoes down the street. It's only after he and the cleric have vanished from sight that I realize I'm still missing something. Wait! I shove my hands into my pockets and find it. The room key. I ease the key from my pocket and smooth my thumb over its teeth as I try to recall a touch, a tell, or any hint of Veer's sleight of hand, but I can't figure out how he did it. All I know for certain is that the Cenobium saw fit to leash him, a fate I could share, if that's what the vague warning meant. I let my eyes drift skyward, past the lanterns gently swaying in the breeze, to the Cenobium finally visible through the haze. Just one glimpse is all I need, and then I can put this all behind me. This time, the key goes into my coin purse for safekeeping. It's easy enough to follow the sluggish river that splits Iridia in two. A colossal bridge arches over the dark water below. I cross as quickly as I can, climbing ever uphill toward the distant tower. Hours later, legs aching, sweat beading on my forehead, I finally find what I was searching for. The Cenobium of the Luminous Void. It stands at the highest point of Iridia, surrounded by cold, white walls. Well-dressed people stroll down the walkway, paying no attention to the massive tower in their midst. I'm the only one standing before the gates. I crane my neck up and up, until the top of the Cenobium tower disappears into the clouds overhead. I frown up at the gates, wondering what horrible traps they might contain. Despite their delicate beauty, this must be more than meets the eye. Knocking seems like a terrible idea, but I don't see any other way of making my presence known. I'm halfway up the steps when something moves in my peripheral vision. A shadowy figure crouches beneath one of the white walls. They reach out and tug on a vine, as if testing its strength. Oi, you there! The shadow vanishes as quickly as I spotted it, and a gaunt-faced man in a crisp charcoal uniform marches up the steps toward me. Ugh, another tourist. Get out of here once you're done gawking. A dismissive wave accompanies his equally dismissive words, and he turns on his heel without even waiting for an answer from me. I look back at where I saw the intruder, but there's nothing, just the leaves blowing gently in a cool breeze. I step away from the gates, hopelessness washing over me. Hello. A whisper, so close I can feel the warm brush of breath on my skin. I instinctively jerk away, but there's no one beside me. Halfway down the staircase, I spot a woman swaying in the breeze. She's gaunt as a rail, her blouse moth-eaten. I'm unable to take my eyes off her, not because of the way she smiles a little too widely, or the way her tousled braid looks unbrushed for days, but because her eyes shine like a vibrant, unnatural crimson. I'm both entranced and unsettled by their subtle glow. These days, you'd need a miracle to get in there. I'm unsure how to respond, or if I even should. I'm gonna be sarcastic. I'm a little shit like that. Seems like I'm in the market for a miracle. Know anyone selling? She beams at me like I said the greatest thing she's ever heard. Lucky for you, I have them for free. Whatever she's selling, I'm not interested. My words come out in a tired breath. No thanks. I start down the stairs, but she abruptly steps into my path. She turns her back to me, and before I can react, she slips her fingers under the lacing of her collar, stripping out of her blouse in broad daylight. What are you doing? As the worn fabric unveils bare skin, my panic is smothered by cold horror. A misshapen, sunken scar carves into the woman's body. Pitted, gnarled skin snakes down her shoulders, blooming from a gaping hole in the back of her neck. A shuddering breath escapes me. The fuck? Whatever disease this woman had ate away at her from the inside out. How is she able to move or breathe? It's impossible. She shouldn't be alive, and yet... The power to cure anything can be yours, too. The power of the sea spring. The woman slides back into her blouse and deftly laces it up. If I've caught your interest, then follow me. It's only a short walk away. Without another glance, she leisurely strolls down the cenobium stairs, loose braids bobbing behind her, the edge of her scar peeking out from under her collar. I stand there, wordless, until I manage to regain my bearings. It's a twisted miracle, but a miracle nonetheless. This could be the stupidest decision in my life, but what choice do I have? I take a final look at the cenobium's shut gates, then follow her down the steps. We descended from the higher streets, leaving behind their gilded decadence as we crossed the river. The wet, derelict districts feel more familiar to me. But the crimson-eyed woman takes me farther, then farther still, until I'm met with an all-too-familiar sight. My gut lurches when I face the open horizon. The city's outskirts are hardly recognizable in daylight, and are probably safer for it, but venturing beyond Iridia's walls is a gamble I wasn't prepared to take so soon. Keep going straight, and the sea spring will reveal itself to you. I bark out a bitter laugh, loud and involuntary. I've fallen for this already. Not that I'm proud of it, but I know a setup when I see one. I barely have enough coin for a meal, for what it's worth. If I wanted your coin, I would already have it. She says it so lightly, I almost believed her, even if she looks as physically capable as a toothpick. Girl, same girl, same. You're as safe inside the city as outside of it. Truthfully, the territory here before you is safest of all. What do you mean, territory? This region belongs to Ice. Most people know him as a gang leader, but he's touched much more than that. I squint against the empty wastelands. Only a fool, or someone with nothing to lose, would leave the city. Apparently, I'm both. But if this sea spring cured her, I need to see what it can do for me. I set off into the wastes. Over my shoulder, the woman calls after me. Good luck, Jet. I hope we meet again. My heart pounds with each step I take from civilization. For what seems like an eternity, I force each foot forward, one step, then another, until a realization hits me. I never told the woman my name. Something pierces the horizon ahead of me. A building, nestled into a tall cliffside, but so starkly out of place, it might as well be a hallucination. It drips with extravagance and honeyed mahogany, an ornate jewel of architecture. A row of dark silhouettes stands out on the horizon. Trees, I think, until I'm close enough to realize that what I mistake for branches were spikes and jutting tendrils. Soulless. Several of them watch me in the distance like statues. I don't think, I just run, exploding into a messy sprint. I push my legs as fast as they'll take me towards that decorated building. Flashes of light chase me, the gushes of blood and screams of death, the smell of burning flesh and sour bile. I can't go through that again. I won't. The next thing I know, I'm dashing up the wooden stairs and crashing through towering double doors. Y'all, if I could play the soundtrack for this part has an honestly banging soundtrack. Highly suggest checking out the music for this part. It's banging. I gasp for air, my lungs burning from exertion. I'm desperate to be safe, but when I process my surroundings, it's more hellscape than sanctuary. Blood flows all around me, overwhelming my vision with a lurid, unholy red. Instinctively, my hand leaps to my mouth. But the rotten stench of blood never comes. Instead, a smoky scent hangs in the air, sharp and spiced. I swallow thickly, convincing myself that it's not as gruesome as it appears. This has to be the Sea Spring, the place that grants miracles. Pulling my eyes away from the pool, I take in the rest of my environment. Tall pillars flank me, blanketed in written notes. Seating pillows scatter the floor. A rustic kettle sits nearby. Someone must live here, despite how eerily empty it is. Do we be like, hello? Or do we stay quiet? Because I got a feeling whatever hell's in here already knows we're here anyway. Let's fucking go for it. Hello? Is anyone there? My voice echoes across the cavern without response. I approach the paper-covered pillars. Maybe something here can tell me more. I reach for the closest one. I reach for a note in front of me. It reads, Dear Mother, don't cry for me. I'm sorry I didn't say goodbye, but we'll meet again in another life. I love you very much. From Iris. P.S. If you ever see me, never speak to me again. It's written in perfect cursive. I've never seen such beautiful handwriting. Before I can ponder it further, a sharp chill runs down my spine. Something's watching me. Yeah, that's why we were like, hello? Yeah. Hi. I quickly set the note back, my eyes darting around the wooden deck, but it's still empty. Vacant. Finally, I look towards the Sea Spring. The stillness hides something deeper. Something wrong. Hey. I spin around and come face to face with a pack of soulless. They chitter and growl, tendrils and spikes flaring threateningly. All different sizes and species, but sharing one identical trait. Glowing crimson eyes. I try to back away, but my heel teeters over the Sea Spring. I'm cornered. Watch your step. It's deeper than it looks. That voice again. At the sound of it, the soulless freeze, their snarls quieting. I search for the voice's source and find it above me, lounging in the rafters. You look lost, little sparrow. His gaze is a violent crimson, one that sears through me, leaving me feeling raw and exposed. They're the same eyes I've seen over and over, first with the scarred woman, now with the soulless circling me, all bound by the sea spring's blood red. In the shroud of darkness behind him, shapes like massive tentacles twist and coil around wooden beams. I can't focus. The soulless's growls rising in my ring in my ears. They're not advancing, but that could change at any second. Panic rises in my throat as I struggle to track them. Hey! Eyes on me. My stomach rolls as I tear my eyes away from the soulless. Don't ignore someone who's talking to you. It's not polite. For a moment, anger knocks my fears aside. Who is this bastard? Yeah, fuck you. I look right into his unnerving eyes, holding his gaze defiantly. Fuck you. Is that better? A crooked grin cracks across his face. We'll work on it. He just comes up as bastard. I love that. Oh, that's funny. I scan the soulless again. They really aren't attacking, posturing more than anything else. Almost as if they're waiting for commands. Did you tame them? Power of the Sea Spring. They're hungry, so they might bite. You could give me a reason to stop them. How about I didn't do anything wrong? Trespassing. And that's punishable by death? He gives a non-committal shrug. I called out earlier to see if anyone was here. Were we supposed to play hide and seek? Didn't hear you. My voice stops in my throat. This man's terse coolness is both infuriating and terrifying. I rack my brain for a way to diffuse the situation. Yeah, just say I need help. Why not? Okay, fine. I need help. I thought the sea spring could cure me somehow. My voice wavers pathetically. Honesty has never been my strong suit. He cants his head to the side, appraising me, but he doesn't respond. I fidget nervously. I'm telling you that I came here for help. Are you listening? Your hands. Alarm jolts through me. I try to hide my hands under my cloak. Show me. Why? Won't ask twice. With a sharp huff, I reluctantly hold out my bandaged hands. Are you getting off on this? Unwrap them. Heat rushes to my face and fire to my tongue. I should give him a piece of my mind, but not when the soulless are one command from ripping me to shreds. Yet, no matter how much I will myself to move, my body is frozen in place. I stand there for a long, agonizing minute. My hands are trembling when I finally raise them. I know the skin beneath the wrappings all too well, the hideous, unnatural flesh I've grown to despise. I grip the edge of the bandages. Stop. With a weary sigh, the man slides off the beam and lands with a thud that shakes the panels underfoot. He's a monster, with an imposing figure that towers over me. I couldn't tell how tall he was before, but he's big. Illuminated by lantern light, his features are sharper, stronger. Subtle clinks of metal accompany each of his footsteps. The closer he gets to me, the faster my heart hitches. He also kind of has an animullet. I'm telling you. Weirdly common in dating sims. I'm telling you. I still like his design though. He's got plugs. That's cool. And like that's just another horn. I think. I don't know. I can't tell if that's. I think that's another horn. I don't think that's an earring. I think that's an earring, and that's a horn, and those are also horns. And then he's got eyeliner on. And nice tattoos. And they're green. And they contrast with the red. And I like it. He's got a lot of contrast going on in a way that really works. I like his accessories. Again, I like the character designs that these artists do a lot. I just really like their art. What does he want? Is he going to kill me? I step backwards and find nothing to set my foot on. I'd forgotten my back was to the sea spring. I fall right before a warm hand catches my lower back. I'm hovering above the sea spring, the scent of smoke and leather enveloping me. Blazing crimson eyes bore into my own. Told you to watch your step. I'm too stunned to muster a response. Like I weigh nothing, he guides me back to solid ground and steps back. Following a subtle gesture from his fingers, the soulless around us disperse and relax. The shift in their demeanor is so abrupt it gives me whiplash. The enormous tentacles are no longer in the rafters, though now I doubt I ever saw them at all. Either way, I exhale a breath of relief. Thanks. As focused on me as he was before, the monster pays no attention to me now. Also, how does a ring like that work? Is that just like a string tied around his finger? Does anybody have a ring like that? DM me pictures. Maybe it is just the earring. I don't know. It could be a reminder string. I mean, he's got like the little bandages on his other fingers. Maybe it's a reminders thing. And then that's an actual ring and that's an actual ring. But the rest is just like stuff wrapped around his fingers. I don't know. I like the posing that they went with for him a lot too. It's very chill while also still managing to be intimidating. Like he doesn't have to try to be, you know? And it suits him. As focused on as focused on me as he was before, the monster pays no attention to me now. He kicks some seating pillows out of the walkways, checks the contents of the kettle with a scowl. The sudden disregard is almost insulting. So that's it? I'm not a threat anymore? Never were one. Then why'd you threaten me? People get honest when they're afraid. In other words, he was messing with me. I drag a hand over my face, exhausted by the fact that this is the second time a monster has provoked me today. You're ice, aren't you? Depends who's asking. One of your friends told me this was your territory. She also said you were a gang leader? Also, I would need to comment on how terrible the tan lines would be, though. Could you imagine? Okay. Priorities. One sleeve, and then whatever this all is, you get weird shaped hands. Oh, jeez. But there's no one else here. I thought there'd be more people. Ice picks up the kettle and walks to the edge of the sea spring, then dumps out the contents into the endless red. Gang took a walk. His pleasant smile stretches across his face, ear to ear. Look how cute that smile is, though. Just want to pinch his cheeks. Then in an instant, it drops. I get the sense that I shouldn't ask about his gang again. Something must have happened. I've learned to recognize a real leader when I see one. Ice, regrettably, fits the type perfectly. He knows how to scare people, and he expects submission. But it's it's uncommon for someone so used to being in power to be so alone. You said you came for help. Depends. Can the sea spring cure a curse? Probably. You mean you don't know? Nope. He shakes out the empty kettle and starts collecting stray cups, tidying up. My frustration builds. I narrow my eyes at him in a questioning glare. When he notices, he returns it with an amused smirk. Are you being irritating on purpose? Listen, Sparrow. The sea spring can cure anything. Nothing stopping you from trying it yourself. What do I have to do? Drink. I have to drink from the sea spring? My eyes glide to the blood-like pool beside us. The idea of ingesting the strange liquid makes my guts churn. Is there a price? Always. Ice taps his temple with a finger. You lose it a little bit. That's it? Might have already beat it to the punch. My humor earns me an amused, fanged grin. This is a little different. When you drink from the sea spring, you forget who you are. Your mind combines with everyone who's ever drank before. Humans, monsters, soulless. One big happy family in your head. My blood runs cold. I've heard of these before. Group minds. I thought they were just rumors. I've heard whispers of cults performing rituals to bind their members' minds together. It never seemed possible. But something tells me this is real, even if one thing doesn't add up. Your eyes are red too, but you obviously haven't forgotten who you are. Before I can finish my sentence, Ice strides past me toward the entrance. Time's up. Let's finish this later. Wait, already? You barely told me anything. Game on a bad day. I've got somewhere to be. There are still so many questions burning on the tip of my tongue, but my frustrations spill out before any of them. I was told to come here for help, but instead I get threatened and kicked out. You're joking, right? Watch your tone. I'm nice, but you don't want to ruin the host's mood. My skin prickles. The feeling of being watched washes over me again. My eyes dart back over to the sea spring. A lone ripple dances on the quiet surface. I take Ice's advice and clamp my mouth shut. Ice approaches the soulless nearby, a lanky, dog-like one, with 6 legs and a crown of tendrils. Several sets of crimson eyes adorn its sides. Its forked tail wags rapidly when Ice squats beside it. He runs his fingers through the tendrils, scratches its chin, and pats its head. A gentle smile plays across Ice's lips. The affection he holds for the soulless is painfully clear. I dip my eyes away, my stomach fluttering at the tender sight. It's getting dark out, so this pretty girl will guide you back. Following a short whistle from Ice's lips, it trots to the entrance obediently, tail swaying. I watch the soulless warily. Pretty is not a word I would use to describe it, and the idea of it protecting me sounds absurd. If I decide to drink, how should I find you? Find someone with eyes like mine. They'll point you in the right direction. But think it over. Once you drink, you can't go back. It's a lot to process, but I give a small nod. At least I know I have another option for a cure, as disturbing as it may be. I follow the soulless at a measured distance and watch it nudge the giant doors open with ease. When I'm about to cross the threshold, I sneak one last glance behind me. My heart skips a beat when I meet Ice's eyes. I'm about to snap my head away, but he just flashes me an easy smile. Till next time, Sparrow. I'll buy you a drink for scaring you. I don't trust myself to do anything but respond with another curt nod. Yeah, bitch, we got a nasty mouth. We gotta keep it shut every now and then. Outside, more crimson-eyed soulless scuttle about. It's hard to believe it's the same threatening pack from before. They chase each other in circles, roll around in the bog's mud. They pay no attention to me, and the dog-like one escorts me away. It's an uneventful trip. Sometimes the soulless looks over its shoulder at me to make sure I'm still following. Dusk darkens the sky by the time we reach the city. The soulless sits and looks at me expectantly with familiar crimson eyes. Yeah, I'm gonna pet it. If you give me the option to pet something, I'm gonna pet the thing. I don't care. I don't care what it is. I'm gonna pet it. I'm gonna pet the thing. I gotta pet everything. As nervous as I am, I carefully glide my fingers through the Solus's tendrils and scratch beneath its chin, just like Ice had. It pushes into my palm in response, rumbling with a sound akin to a purr. The vibrations are soothing, almost healing my fatigue. When it's satisfied, the Solus spins around and scampers back in the direction we came, vanishing into the darkness. It's barely my first day in Iridia, and I've already encountered so many things I thought were impossible, tame Solus being one of them. My head spins. Maybe I should call it a day. Nightfall creeps across the streets of Iridia. The city, labyrinthine even in daytime, has become a warren of treacherous alleyways. The streets are completely deserted. If I hadn't been here earlier, I would have thought this part of the city abandoned. I make my way through the winding streets, doing my best to keep my bearings toward the wet wick. My steps slow when I hear rustling in the dark. I strain my ears, but everything is still. Is the silence playing tricks on me? No, I'm from the streets. I'm gonna trust my gut and say something's wrong. This bitch from the streets. The fine hair on the back of my neck prickle. A frisson of discomfort running down my spine. Something's wrong. My eyes dart from one side of the street to the other, searching for movement, but the shadows are as deep and as dark as pools of ink, and I see nothing. I can't stay here. I need to reach a busier part of the city. Drawing my cloak tighter around my body, I hurry on my way. Though I keep my eyes sharp and listen intently, there's only the sound of my own footsteps. As the moments pass and nothing happens, I begin to wonder, maybe I really did imagine that noise? I turn the next corner and my thoughts come to a screeching halt. My head spins, the world blurring as adrenaline rushes through my veins. Only one thing is clear amidst the haze. The Solus that attacked the caravan. It's crouched over a dark, indistinct shape. A body. A garland of intestines spills from pallid flesh. Blood grouts the cobblestones. For a mercy, the Solus is too distracted by its meal to have noticed me. My feet feel as heavy as stones, but I can't just stand here. Holding my breath, I take a step backwards. When the wet slurping sounds don't abate, I take another, then another. Then a shard of glass crunches under my heel. The world seems to slow to a crawl as the Solus raises its head, blood dripping from its tendrils. Every single one of its bulging eyes fixed unblinkingly on me. It's really here. It's come back for me. Hey, look, I got a one option choice. I love when they do those. Run! Let's go, lesbians! Let's go! I'm off like a shot, running for my life through the darkened streets. Behind me, a crimson vase splits the silence, and heavy footfalls pound after me. My heart thunders in my chest. I take turns at random, trying to lose it in the maze of streets, but I can't seem to shake it. I can hear its breathing now, a wet, fluttering rasp, growing closer and closer. The same claws that severed my arm swipe out. I duck, saved by pure reflex, and skid around a corner. I take 3 running strides before the bottom drops out of my stomach. A wall twice as high as me bars my way, a dead end. When I turn around, the Solus looms in the entry to the alleyway. It's no longer running. It doesn't have to. As it prowls closer, my thoughts race. Some of the buildings lining the streets are lit. There must be people inside. It's a long shot, but... Nah, people are gonna keep their doors locked in a part of town like this. Somebody help me! My voice rings through the shadowed streets. Silhouettes pass by the windows. But nobody answers. Of course. In this wretched world, few people will stick their neck out to help their own flesh and blood, never mind a stranger. The Soulless, provoked by my shouting, gives a rasping hiss. It's the only warning I get before it lunges at me with a flash of its claws. I hurl myself to the side, but the slipped cobblestones betray me. I fall, sprawling over the rough stone. As the Soulless looms over me, I scramble away from it until my back hits the wall. There's nowhere left to go. It descends on me for the kill. But the impact never comes. I warily crack one eye open, then the other, not sure whether I should believe what I'm seeing. A hooded figure crouches in front of me, one blood-stained hand outstretched. Moonlight silvers the edge of their stiletto knife, their face and hands spattered with blood, and the Soulless. My eyes dart past my unexpected rescuer, to the misshapen form behind them. The Soulless's many eyes, once restless and vibrant, now dull and waxy. A red pool slowly spreads under its body. Numb with shock, I can't help but stare. It's dead. After all the people it's killed, after nearly killing me twice, I can hardly believe it. Well? I gingerly take the offered hand. The stranger's gaze dips to my bandages. Pale lips part on the brink of a question, then close again. With a strength belying their slight frame, they pull me to my feet. As soon as I'm on my own 2 feet again, they pull away from me, and start wiping the blood from their face and hands. Stay there. They turn away from me, stiffly, leaning over the Soulless's gangly body. With their back toward me, I realize that their hooded silhouette. I saw their hooded silhouette at the Cenobium. You're shorter than I thought. I'm gonna roll with you. Save me. I'm a criminal, but I'm a grateful criminal. I practice gratitude. You saved me. I shouldn't have had to. Their harsh response takes me back. Before I can formulate a response, they continue. What are you thinking, traveling alone at night? This is far from the worst thing haunting Lowtown. I can't make heads or tails of them. First they save me, now they scold me. Lesson learned. I can do without the lecture, though. To my surprise, they break eye contact. Their attention glides back to the Soulless's corpse. They examine it with an inscrutable expression. I clear my throat to fill the silence. I'm Jet. Min. Suddenly, Min tenses. Their blade flashes as they drive it into the back of the Soulless's neck. The Soulless thrashes once, letting out a rattling hiss as the air leaves its lungs. Min leans on the blade, driving it deeper and deeper until there's a sickening crunch, and the creature goes limp. My heart thuds in my chest. It must have been clinging to life by a thread. Min straightens up, unwinding her blade in a single smooth motion. Better to put the wretched things like this out of their misery. They calmly clean the blood from their knife. That swift, unhesitating lethal strike wasn't the work of an amateur. But they don't act like any of the cold-blooded killers I've seen in the past. Why is a Soulless inside the city? Min looks at me, eyes searching before realization dawns. You're new here. There's no walls around the city. Soulless can come and go as they please, until someone is contracted to stop them. The Cenobium's patrols don't bother to protect Lowtown. Not anymore. Let me guess, you're not a fan of the Cenobium. I wouldn't go that far. Their brow abruptly furrows, and they sheath their knife, motioning for me to follow. It's not safe here. The vultures can smell death. I'm not quite sure what they mean, but I don't want to stay lost in the city. I trail behind them as they stride down the street. If it's so dangerous, then why are you helping me? You were making an unbearable racket. Next time you walk into a Soulless's claws, at least die quietly. Their answer is stingingly harsh. I just need to find my lodgings. I hold up my hands, trying to forestall any more snippy comments. Alright, I love it. I'd love to get out of your way. I'm sort of lost. I just need directions back to my lodgings. What makes you think I'll help you? Nothing, but there's no harm in asking. That seems to catch them off guard. They're brown knits, and they look away, scowling. How troublesome. Jet? I turn, surprised by the voice. Curious walks down the street toward us. His white and gold clothing is pristine, despite the grime of the city. Look at the height difference. It's like almost a full head. That's a big height difference. How cute. I like Min's get up a lot. I like how it plays with like a more feminine side of androgyny. Like it's not feminine, but it's not the typical like tomboy mask that people go for when they're feeling too lazy to think about like how androgyny can be more than that, you know? Yeah, I really love blue. Blue's my favorite color. I like that cloak a lot. Blue and silver, great combo. It's a look. These artists, everything's a look. I don't know what to say. Whole thing's a look. Hello, Min. I see that Solus was your work. Min shrugs. There's a familiarity to the way they regard each other. You know them, Curious? Min is a freelancer who's done a few errands for me. They're quite reliable. Unreliable freelancers don't eat. There's something Curious isn't saying here. Jet needs to get back to wherever they're staying before they wander into the jaws of another Solus. It is late. Were you able to find a place to stay, Jet? I'm staying at the Wet Wick. Both their faces fall. I see. Would you like a guide? It might be preferable to wandering about alleyways. That would be nice. Min clicks their tongue and sighs, sounding mightily put out. Going to the Amaryllis district, that gaudy cesspit. Come, this way. Despite Min's clear distaste, when Curious leads me down the street, they keep pace with us. Catching my curious glance, Min's eyes narrow. It's not safe this late. I don't care about you, but Curious is the only doctor worth a damn in this place. Are you like this with everyone? The deadpan look Min gives me is answer enough. I catch Curious hiding a slight smile. I suppress a sigh and resign myself to having a grumpy shadow all the way back to the Wet Wick. The route Curious takes is completely different from my slow, meandering earlier morning. In no time at all, he cuts through the darkened streets and twisting alleys. It seems like half the city is poured into the Amaryllis district's colorful streets. Laughter, clinking glasses, and music assault my ears from every direction. Yet, the most noise still comes from the Wet Wick, its doors hanging wide open, lanterns lit. Here we are. He moves toward the door, and Min lets out an audible huff. Don't tell me you're going in. I have some quick business with Leander. Ugh, fine. He still owes me for yesterday's work. They drag their feet, reluctantly trailing me into the tavern. As soon as the doors open, a wave of sticky heat rolls over me. In the hours since I left, the wick has grown suffocatingly crowded. Curious stands out, easily a head taller than most. Even so, I nearly lose sight of him amid the sea of swarming bodies. Pardon me. The crowd parts as though answering his request. Curious glances over his shoulder at Min and me before gliding through. How can anyone breathe in here? Min follows Curious at a clipped pace. Leander is right where I left him, although he's traded places with the bartender. He holds a pair of shot glasses filled to the brim with luminous green liquid. And now for the finishing touch. A flash of magic paints the glasses white with frost. You're never gonna guess what's in these. Leander slides the glasses across the bar, and I get my third and fourth shocks of the evening in rapid succession. Ice leans against the bar, his elbow propped up on the counter. He catches the glasses and lifts one to the light before turning it upside down. The contents, magically congealed, stay firm in place. You're supposed to make drinks, pretty boy. Don't tell me you're wasted already. Veer, perched on the bar's counter beside Ice, takes a single look at the shot glass and shakes his head. What have we here? A bucket full of boogers? Leander's nose treasure? You've eaten worse. Veer's lips twitch and his ears flatten when Ice offers him a glass. He turns his cheek with a sniff, and Ice just snickers. Coward. Don't tell me you're actually... In one fluid motion, Ice throws his head back and downs the shot. Drinking that. A dark look crosses Ice's face. It's Chewy. Chewy, wait, let me try again. Behind me, Min grumbles. I told you this place was a nest of degenerates. If it isn't Curious and Min. At the sound of Leander's voice, Min's pale eyes grow wide. They look ready to bolt until Curious sets a hand on their shoulder. I promise this will not take long. Min's eyes dart from Curious's hand to his face, then soften. Fine, you first. While they step forward, I linger behind, struck by a sudden revelation. All of the people I've met today know each other. Good evening, Leander. Ice. Another drinking competition, I presume? Oh, is it evening already? Could have sworn it was earlier. Just some friendly rivalry, Doctor. Nothing to be afraid of. Curious acknowledges Leander and Ice with a slightest nod, ignoring Veer entirely. Not that Veer seems to mind. He tilts his head, and an impish smile curves his lips when he spots Min, looming silently behind Curious. I almost didn't see you there, Min. Looking for your booster seat. Min pushes back their hood. They level Veer with a cool look. I thought Ice wasn't allowed to bring his pets in here. I accidentally hit tab again. Jesus Christ. Oh, hey, perfect. I thought Ice wasn't allowed to bring his pets in here. Veer's tail gives an angry twitch. At the first sign of an impending fight, Leander vaults clear over the counter. He slides between Ice and Curious. Now, let's try to keep the peace. It's not every day the esteemed doctor takes us up on a drink. His arm snakes around Curious's shoulders. You are finally taking me up on that drink, right, Curious? I am afraid not. We are merely escorting Jet back to their lodgings. Curious gestures in my direction, and my stomach sinks. I reluctantly step into the light. As soon as he sees me, Leander's face brightens. Jet! It's been too long. Everybody, this is Jet. They're new to Iridia. I feel 5 pairs of eyes fixed on me, and suddenly the bar feels suffocatingly small. My voice nearly catches in my throat. Hi again. Hi everyone. Again. Again? Wait, you've already met everyone? Ice and Veer level me with subtly amused expressions. Veer's tail gives a lazy wag. We did. Not that long ago, either. I'm starting to suspect they're stalking me. He looks far too pleased with himself when I roll my eyes. This calls for drinks. What does everyone want? In an instant, all eyes turned to Leander, freeing me from being the burden of attention. I still can't believe they all know each other. Watching them talk amongst themselves feels surreal. But for the first time since I undertook my journey to Iridia, I felt a faint glimmer of hope. I know I was meant to meet them. The low, pleasant rumble of Leander's laugh pulls me from my restless thoughts. Ha! Well, color me surprised. You make friends fast, Jet. I wouldn't go that far. We're more like acquaintances. A wise man once said that acquaintances are merely friends you haven't shared a drink with yet. A wise man? You said that. Here, last week. I can hear Min's lips curl with distaste from across the bar. Leander clears his throat and continues, unperturbed. Let's toast to Jet's health. Care to join in, Doctor? Curious politely declines with a wave of his hand. How about you, Min? No. Are you? No. A resounding pop pierces the din of the bar. We all turn in the direction of the noise. Veer looks almost bashful as he accepts an overflowing flute from the bartender. Poured from a bottle so old, its label has been worn blank. They serve champagne here? Since when? Veer pauses in the middle of licking champagne foam from his fingers with a coy smile. You don't mind, do you? In a transformation as impressive as his magic trick, the concern on Leander's face vanishes. He laughs softly. No, be my guest. I know you've got expensive taste. Then, he shoots the bartender a frantic look. Unbothered or uninterested by his company, Ice cants his head at me, a light smile on his lips. How about you, Sparrow? I did say I'd buy you a drink earlier. No, my treat. Ice regards Leander over the lip of his glass. In the dim light, the glint in his crimson eyes looks downright dangerous. What'll it be, Jet? Drink! I'll take you up on that drink, as long as it's not one of those green shots. Don't knock them till you've tried them. They taste better than they look. Somehow, I doubt that, but I hold my tongue long enough for Leander to go behind the bar. He's lying, isn't he? When I glance at Ice, he only shrugs. Like I said, they were chewy. Probably poison, too. He considers his own drink, a tumbler of amber-colored whiskey. Leander's tried to kill me a dozen times by now. It's always a gamble. Veer clicks his tongue in disapproval. When he finally looks my way, it's with a half-lidded gaze softened by his third glass of champagne. Were I you, I wouldn't let Leander put anything in my mouth. He fans his fingers over his chest, voice dripping with fake reverence. The Wet Wick is one of the finest drinking establishments in all of Iridia. While you're here, you may as well partake of the signature watered-down drinks and stale nut leather. He sweeps his hand toward a chipped ceramic bowl filled with spindly, speckled jerky that I can only assume is nut leather. What is with the food in this city? As abysmal as you make it sound, this place is completely packed. It's not all bad. Depending on the day, the food's edible. Ice takes a measured sip of his drink. Gotta stick around for real attractions, though. Before I can ask what he means, Leander returns with a tumbler that he sets in front of me. Uneven chunks of ice bob in a pool of reddish-purple alcohol. I sniff the drink suspiciously. To my relief this time, all I smell is the sharp, clean scent of gin with an undercurrent of fermented fruit. Relax, it's just the local specialty, plum gin. Although if you're feeling more adventurous. I shake my head. Leander raps his knuckles against the bar until the group falls silent. Alright everyone, let's toast. May Jet's stay in Iridia be full of bright adventures and discoveries. Cheers! Leander, Ice, and Veer raise their glasses in unison. Min only crosses their arms, and Curious watches with polite indifference. I tip back my drink. The plum gin is eye-wateringly strong. Despite a sharp medicinal edge, it goes down smooth. One sip softens the edges of my vision. The next fades the din of the crowded bar into a low, persistent murmur. I find myself unwinding for what feels like the first time in years. Aren't you the popular one, Jet? I'm guessing you met Kiras first. It would be more accurate to say I found them. He saved my life. I merely performed my duty as a doctor. Although, I must admit, I was confused when I woke up missing all my clothes. Leander makes a choked noise. Somewhere behind him, Min sighs. It's not what you think. Jet was in grave condition. I could hardly treat such injuries through tattered clothes. The silence that follows stretches uncomfortably long. I look away, unable to face Kiris's disappointment, until catch Veer snickering behind his hand. That's my cue to change the topic. Kiris isn't the only one who saved me today. Didn't you listen? I didn't save you. You were simply there. That's Min for you. Leander reaches for Min, but they duck under his arm with practiced ease, without so much as looking his way. As reliable as they are moody. You're one to talk, considering you neglected to warn them to stay off the streets at night. Oh, I might have gotten a little distracted. Min's only response is a short breath. At any rate, I never got a chance to thank you, Min. Don't. The less Solus alive, the better. For a heartbeat, Min's eyes flick toward Ice, and their lips twist. Ice is too busy nodding along to Veer's enthusiastic pantomime of stabbing to notice. Lost, no doubt, in an enthralling discussion. I've had enough of this hellhole. Let's go. Min and Kiris share a brief look, then the doctor speaks up. Very well, but there is something I must discuss with Leander. If you'll excuse us, Jet. And just like that, the three of them depart, leaving me alone to savor my gin in silence. Or so I think until I hear a voice so soft and low it's practically a purr. Lost your tour guide? I turn to find crimson and pink eyes trained on me. It's not lost on me that they chose the instant the others left to strike. Just my luck. I had to be abandoned with the two most irritating people I'd met all day. Monsters or not, there's no telling what I'll do if either of them push me again. Don't tell me Leander already snuck off to get his knob slobbered out back. He's got business with Kiris and Min. 2-on-1 business, Isn't he lucky? I can't tell if it's the champagne or the company, but Veer has grown noticeably more relaxed. He sits with his chin propped on the back of his hand. His ears twitch whenever a hiccup shakes his shoulders. Why are you so far away? Come, join us. He pats the empty bar stool beside Ice, but I hesitate. The smile Veer wears is sweet and distinctly sly. And with the drinks in the mix, I dread how he and Ice will mess with me next. We don't bite. That was Ice. We don't bite. I'm not sure about that. Just hours ago, he tried to rob me, and you threatened me. Me? Steal? Surely you must be mistaken. You sure it was me? Yes, it was you. And then you had the gall to kick me out just so you could go drinking. He gives me another one of his shrugs. I was lonely. Simpler answer than I expected, but I guess I can't fault him for that. Veer suddenly slumps forward, gossamer sleeves pooling where he rests his elbows on his knees. Ice sets his hand on Veer's waist, narrowly preventing him from tipping off the counter. How about we start fresh, Begin with proper introductions. Get off on the right foot and whatnot. I'll start. The name's Veer, hunter extraordinaire. Veer's right hand flutters to his chest, and he bows his head, flinching when hair falls into his eyes. Ice doesn't say anything, so I suppose it's my turn now. It's Jet. Veer considers me for a long moment, his tail idly swaying behind him. Then he knocks back the rest of his champagne. It's a pleasure to formally meet you, Jet. He says my name slowly and deliberately, savoring every one syllable. A tingle jumps down my spine, and I quickly turn my gaze away. Ice smirks at my reaction over the rim of his glass. Is something funny? Nope. I open my mouth and close it just as quickly. They want me to react, goading me into another ridiculous game. While their sharp, cat-like eyes keep me on edge, something about this tension is fun. It must be the gin. A flash of white over Ice's shoulder catches my eye. Across the bar, Curious heads for the door. I don't see Leander or Min, but it feels wrong to leave without saying goodbye. I'll be back. Veer hums and wags his finger at me as I leave. I slip through the crowd, careful not to touch anyone, and just as I'm nearing Curious... Gah! I stagger, shoulder checked by a man with a neck thicker than both my thighs. He stares down at me, nostrils flaring. Out of my way, shit stain. My words spill out on their own. You watch it! I regret them as soon as they leave my mouth. That fucking gin. The roughneck wheels around, shoving a bloodhound out of the way so he could close in on me. What did you say? He shoves me backwards, sending me stumbling to the sticky floor. I'm fine, but my heart leaps into my throat when I see the roughneck bearing down on me. You trying to start something here? The roughneck freezes, his fist cocked back. A group of bloodhounds, called by the commotion, circle him, sizing him up. For what feels like an agonizingly long moment, the roughneck looks from me to the bloodhounds. Finally, he sniffs and spits on the floor next to me, the lob narrowly missing my cheek. Screw it. Too many freaks in this circus tonight. He turns his back on me and comes face to face with Ice. A dangerous smile spreads across his face. You'll do. What happens next is a blur. Ice's fist crashes into the roughneck's jaw, causing an eruption of gasps, shouts, and even cheers around us. I scramble to get to my feet right as the frantic crowd swarms around me, cutting off my sight of everyone and everything. Through the ruckus, I hear Leander shouting. Hey, hey, Ice, take it outside! Ignore them, everyone. Look, drinks are on me! With those 4 words, the wick erupts, hoots and hollers. The ring around me disperses as the bloodhounds and onlookers rush toward the bar. Through the thinning crowd, I catch glimpses of familiar faces. Ice vanishes out the back, dragging the roughneck behind him. Curious lingers near the door, searching, I suspect, for any wounded before he departs. Min draws their hood up tight as they slip out a side door, while Veer leans over the counter to swipe a glass from behind the bar. And Leander, seated at the opposite end of the bar, gestures dramatically and apologetically at the bartender. In the space of a heartbeat, I realize there's no telling when or if I'll ever see any of them ever again. Whoever I pursue may be the last person I get to speak to tonight. I follow. Who do we go with here? We got big, strong guy who beats people up and drinks creepy blood water. We got tall doctor man. We got very pale they, them. We got pretty kitty femboy. And we got the guy who I'm convinced is trouble. Who we... Trouble man all day, every day? The guy who's beating a dude up out back? Is that who you mean? Is that who you mean? Because, oh, Leander, okay. Because Ice is beating somebody up out back, but Leander, he's just a little too charismatic. And I think he didn't go crazy when I touched him because he's already crazy. And also the flower he summoned was an oleander, which are poisonous. And he's got all these connections and stuff. I just think I think he's fake. I think he's like the Don of what's going on here. I think I came to him on the day of his daughter's wedding. And he's stirring shit now. I don't know. I have no further proof than what goes on here because this is only a demo and there's no further storyline yet. But he's up to something. He's fucking up to something. Feel it in my bones. For the second time today, I find myself squeezing through a crowd to reach Leander. As soon as he sees me, his easy smile fades. Are you alright, Jet? I'm not used to someone looking at me with such earnest concern. I've been through worse today. From the sound of it, you've had quite the day. How are you holding up? Well, I'm still alive. That counts for something, right? Iridia's not an easy place to live in, but you'll get used to it eventually. Let's hope so. Leander signals for the bartender. I'm parched. Do you want anything? I'll have a drink. Something strong and simple. I'm gonna get fuckity fucked. And I'm gonna try to learn your secrets, sir. And you're gonna think I'm gonna be too hungover to remember them, but I'm not. I will recall. Adventurous, aren't you? I'm gonna have to keep an eye on you. Yeah, because I'm onto you, sir. Of course, you'll also need to keep an eye on me. I've lost count how many times how many I've had. Deal. Once he's ordered, Leander turns back to me. Did you at least get to try any good food? I had these fried dough sticks from a vendor near here. As soon as I begin describing my meal, his eyes brighten with recognition. The long lads from one stall? You gotta try them with porridge. There's another stall about a block away from the rosewater, with these rosewater rice flour cakes. Take one bite, you'll think you've been transported to some high-town patisserie. Then, bam! Open your eyes and it's still the same trash-lined streets as always. When he laughs, his hair falls over his eyes. He shakes his head and pushes it back. I'll show you sometime. If you decide to stick around Lowtown, that is. The Iridia Leander describes is far different from the one I've experienced, but if you live anywhere long enough, I suppose it becomes home. It seems like I'll be here for a while. Maybe I'll take you up on that. The bartender returns with a pair of glasses and pushes them our way. Cheers. Leander clinks his glass against mine. I take a deep sip of the malty dark ale, savoring its flavor. It was surprising finding out that you all know each other. I didn't think Iridia would be so small. Do you know how many times I've tried getting them all in one place? It's impossible, like trying to herd a bunch of soulless. I take it you know them well? Depends. Was there anyone you're curious to know about in particular? I'm gonna start with the guy I went with first last time, who's the guy who's beating somebody up out back. I don't know, there's just... Listen. I'm not normally into the guys who beat the shit out of each other for, like, you know, flex reasons, but this is a sim, it's not real. I'm going for it. Yeah, he's pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Yeah, I like the guy who beats the shit out of the other dude. He's pretty fucking hot. Anyway. So, you're friends with Ice? Have been for a while, but he's rarely in town. Where'd you run into him? The Sea Spring. Leander chokes on his drink. He coughs violently into his fist before giving me a surprised look. You went all the way out there? How'd he treat you? Intimidating, to be honest. Don't let it get to you. Ice does well in Iridia because he knows how to scare people. He's a monster. You really don't think he's a threat? Not in the slightest. I like to think of us as rivals. We like to keep each other on our toes, you know? Don't you think being rivals with a monster is a bad idea? If he wanted to disembowel you, it'd be easy. No, it's not that serious. Sure, Ice likes to toe lines on purpose. But he's not such a bad guy when you get to know him. He is literally out back right now, beating a man to death. That's I can tell you that I could skip back after this and show you that scene, because that's the one I did the first time I played this game. Right now, he's out in the back alley beating the shit out of that roughneck. I cannot emphasize this enough. He's not such a bad guy when you get to know him. He's throwing fists back there, dog. Leander sighs and takes a swig from his glass. Let's ask about Catboy next. He's intriguing. Foxboy. I know, but I'm gonna call him Catboy anyway. What do you know about Veer? Leander shakes his head slowly, his expression grave. Veer, a living example of the Cenobium's cruelty. Most days they keep him on a short leash. I'm surprised you ran into him. So tell me, what'd you make of him? He's rude. Is he always so rude? Leander snorts. A small smile tugs at his lips. To everyone but Ice? If Veer's ever nice to you, you should take that as your hint to run. Why would the Cenobium let someone so dangerous hang around in bars? As long as he gets the job done, they don't care. And I mean, I don't mind having him around. He can be fun, and he's got a real presence. What exactly does that mean? Leander shrugs and laughs under his breath. He's nice to look at, mouthy, but his tongue's the least dangerous part of him. Whoa, Veer has totally sucked Leander's dick. Whoa. Spicy. Let's ask about Min. They saved our life recently, and then we'll ask about the doctor who saved our life first. Min's interesting. Not very forthcoming, though. Ah, Min. My favorite grouchy freelancer. What's your impression of them? I get the feeling they could use a friend. I think Min prefers to be alone. What makes you say that? I've known them since they arrived to Iridia, and they've turned down every attempt I've made. Well, almost every attempt. He trails off to take a deep swig of his drink. They banged too! Homie's... The bartender wasn't wrong. Homie is banging everybody. I'm not shaming. I'm just observing. I'm observant. That's what this is. Anyway, I'm just saying, if Min wanted to be your friend, you'd know. Do you and Cyrus work together? Occasionally. Did the mysterious component doctor catch your eye? He seems like a good person, though it's hard to believe anyone's a good person these days. That's Cyrus. He works hard to service the people of Lowtown. He's a miracle worker, even if his bedside manner could use some work. Do you think he might be able to cure my curse? Leander starts to speak, but pauses to consider me for a moment first. Cyrus is good, but he's only a doctor. Besides, unless you're actively dying, he'll make you wait in line all day like everyone does. That about covers it. Aren't you tired of standing? Let's go find you somewhere to sit. Leander pushes away from the bar, beckoning me to follow him. He leads me to a small booth hidden away in a nook of the bar. A pair of bloodhounds notice him and immediately leap to their feet, offering their seats to us. As I slide into the booth, a web of graffiti scratched into the booth's tabletop catches my eye. The deepest grooves form the outline of the dog from Leander's posters. Dozens roughly etched names surround the drawing, some fresh, some well-worn. What is all this? It's a tradition. Whenever someone joins the Bloodhounds, they have a drink with us and they carve in their initials. The barkeeper must love that. After the first year, she finally stopped charging me extra for damages. 2 years and countless drinks later, she added her own name. You're not planning on recruiting me, are you? He quickly shakes his head. Not yet. You need time to think about your own path. Do you know what you're going to try next? The question gives me pause. I take my hands out from under my cloak and rest them on the table. Do you think you can help me? Of course, we can find answers together. Leander starts to reach for me, as though meaning to take my hand before stopping himself. His eyes flicker to mine. I won't fail you, Jet. And if you ever need a taste of normalcy, I'll always be here for you. I don't know, I'm fucking suspicious, sir. My chest tightens at the memory of touching him. Even now? Leander swallows. The table groans under his elbows as he leans forward. The booth is so narrow that he completely blocks my view of the bar counter. It's almost as though Leander and I are completely alone. If that's what you want. How did it make you feel? It was warm, exciting. I don't know how to describe it. Leander rests his right hand on the table. He looks at me, smiling when I place my hand in his. Slowly, he begins unwinding the bandages, stopping every so often to glance at me. As my skin becomes visible, I cast a nervous glance around the bar, but as far as I can see, no one is paying us any attention. Leander squeezes my hand gently. No one will notice. He pulls back, raising his hand to his mouth so he can tug off his glove with his teeth. The muscles in his forearm tighten as he flexes his fingers. Our eyes meet and Leander offers his hand again. There you go. Hand holding on demand. A lump forms in my throat. I'm not certain Leander sees it in my face, a flicker of desperation. His voice lowers to a whisper. Anything you want, Jet. One option answer thing. I reach out, allowing the tips of my fingers to glide along the lines of his palm. He shudders with a nervous laugh. That tickles. Emboldened, I twine our fingers together and give it an experimental squeeze. His hand is soft. Somehow I expected it to be more rough. Leander looks from our hands to me and smiles. So you're telling me homeboy, like, owns a bar, runs a gang, gets shit done, and he's got fucking soft hands? No. I know he wears gloves, but that's not enough to do it. Not with his lifestyle. He should not have soft hands. That's a lie. I'm suspicious as hell. I cannot emphasize how suspicious I am of this twonk. Nice, isn't it? Yeah. I've done this once already, but it still makes me lightheaded. I'm not sure if I'll ever get used to this. And yet, I want to be even closer. My heart hammers, filling my ears with a pulse that grows unbearably loud until I pull my hand back. See, like, Boo over here is like Doki Doki Literature Club in this bitch. She's all like, oh, only this baby boy, and I'm in this bitch like, hey, he's suspicious as hell. Oh my gosh. I get it, you're touch starved. Oh, it's the name of the game. Are you alright? I can barely hear his words over my pounding heart, but I manage to nod. Yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, I just think I'm getting a little dizzy. Yo, he put something in that drink! He put something in that drink! He gives me a gentle smile. Eyes crinkling at the edges. There was GHB in there! Oh my god. I don't trust this man. You've had a long day. You deserve some rest. Listen, there's not a lot of fan content out there right now for this game because it's still a demo. It's yet to come out. It's going to be a while before it comes out still. So there's not a lot of fan content out there. So if the team involved in making this happens to see this, I'm having so much fun. And thank you. Thank you very much. I love being sus of everyone simultaneously. It's part of how I enjoy myself, and this guy in particular, I don't trust him. I don't trust him. Luckily, your room is just upstairs. Want me to walk you back? I shake my head and begin wrapping my hand back up. With each deep breath, my head feels more clear. I'm fine, but thanks for, well, everything. Remember what I told you. If you ever need a break from the chaos of the city, I'll be here for you. When I rise, Leander gives me one last smile. Good night, Jet. Night. I trudge up the stairs, but even as I leave Leander behind, the warmth of his skin still lingers on mine, burning through the bandages. And then it brings you to this, but, yeah, that's where the game ends at the moment. So, you got your little descriptions. Veer, the chained charlatan. Veer serves as a warning to the dangers posed by the Cenobium. As cunning as he is curious, Veer finds you fascinating and insists that he can help. But trusting him means entrusting your life to a collared beast with a lethal reputation. Can Veer protect you, or are his honeyed words a trap waiting to snap shut? Leander, the heroic mage. Heroic? Question that. Leander offers you something that should be impossible, a taste of normalcy free of your curse. As the first person to withstand your touch, he could change your life, but some things are simply too good to be true. Leander promises to help unravel your curse, but at what cost? Some things are too good to be true? Yeah, like this whole ass man. This whole ass man. Ice. The Demon Renegade. An intimidating, yet laid-back outsider, Ice presides over a sea spring with unnerving powers. He offers you a miracle, but the price means submitting yourself to the horrifying presence at the heart of the spring. Will you gaze into the abyss for answers, even at the risk of losing yourself? Curus, the Repentant Angel. From all appearances, Curus is the principal doctor of extraordinary skill, but you know little about the man beneath the professional mask, and Curus keeps even his friends at a cool distance. If you uncover his deepest secrets, will you like what you find? And of course, Min, the cursed outsider. Despite their cold nature and familiarity with violence, Min is just as desperate as you to get into the Cenobian. You may be able to help each other, but they're keeping as many secrets as you. They claim they're dangerous, but they could be your only chance. But could they be your only chance at getting into the Cenobium? So like, from the perspective of somebody who's played a bunch of these games, I feel like there's always like one choice where like the writers loved it a little more, and it like was the original story from which the other ones branched, like the OG, the first timeline. And I feel like Min was probably that for this one. But that might be bias from the Arcana slipping in, where the short non-binary they them well he they white-haired character was like the main timeline. And then Curious, I don't know, he's definitely got something going on. Ice, you already know, he tells you straight off the bat, I'm trouble, I'm bad, I'm gonna go beat the shit out of this guy in the back alley. Like, I can handle that. At least you know what you're getting into with him, so there's that. Leander, fucking sus as hell. Sus as hell. And Veer, beautiful. 10 out of 10. Keep all that up. Keep this up. But yeah, once you go into any of their menus and press confirm, that's the, yep. That is the end of the demo. So, yeah, check out Red Spring Studios. They're fantastic. They make awesome games. They make awesome character designs. They write awesome stories. I love the stuff they did in the past. I'm looking forward to seeing more of this. And I do be expecting fan art of this game coming out of my channel. It's just a matter of choosing who I want to do and how I want to do them first. That's really all it is. But for anybody who's stopped by, anybody who's watching on the VOD or on my YouTube backup or anything, thank you very much for viewing. Hope you enjoyed, and come hang out with me and come chat sometime. Have a great night, everyone.